Well, what an up and down game. I guess, how do you summarise the game, given that there were so many momentum swings and changes throughout that game?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, just rap to get the win, find a way to win in a really pressurised, critically important game for us in the context of our season. I think that's the biggest thing we'll gravitate out of today's performance, and knowing that there were some key moments there where we really had to stand up and weather the storm and do something amazing, and we were able to find that today, which was awesome. And then obviously we'll reflect back on the roller coaster of what that game was to try and avoid that next time. But our discussion before the game was pretty straightforward. Whatever it takes, we have to be prepared to do it. And we hadn't been able to bank back-to-back wins for a while, so this was a critically important one for us, and it was a tough game, but really rapt to see us stand up in some real key moments.
What were the key moments to you that stood out, either defensively or in attack?
Yeah, I think probably the things that were key for me were the things that we were consistently getting beaten on. So the rebounds or staying in play, those little basic 1%ers, where I thought when we really started to put them under the pump in the last quarter, they were the moments where we're doing the best stuff of those basics. And I just think our attack today, our ability to stay really consistent, be prepared to work the ball when we needed to. I thought Alice was rock solid, Teague-Neeld simply outstanding today. And I thought just our ability to keep our composure late in the game was really important. So yeah, many great things to take.
You're hitting some pretty good numbers there with 85% conversion from gains and 77 from centre passes. How much focus do you have on that, Alice, throughout the game? Like, I know Dan's looking at stats, he's a very stats-driven coach. Are you thinking about that when you're out on the court as well, in terms of the conversions and sticking to certain percentages?
Yeah, definitely. We have a major focus on when we get ball to score that, and then the centre pass to follow. So definitely locking in an attack, nothing fancy, just getting to circle edge and scoring those goals. So it is a big part of our game, and we do, for the most part, try and focus on when we do get them to lock them in. Do
you think that assists in the changing of the momentum, because we did see a lot of that throughout the game today?
Yeah, definitely. I think we know what it feels like to have a 2-goal run against us, and it's horrible. So we know when we do that, it's building the momentum and really putting the pressure on the other team.
And in terms of your leadership across the team, Dan, who, obviously Jess is your captain there, but in the areas of the court, who are you looking to stand up in a lot of those key moments as you're heading towards finals to really take control of some of these games?
Yeah, well, I thought Jess, Alice and Teague-Neeld was simply awesome for us today in all parts of the game, and even when we were struggling and they were coming back at us, they still continued to do their role for the team, which I think that reliability is so important in our captains, and I thought they really showed up for us today. And every single player in our team has the ability to do something at a certain time, and I think we saw some big moments from Katie Ann on some massive rebounds in the last quarter. Fran and Sunday looking for a moment to try and go for ball. I thought Shanice's work rate in 1-point netball was really good. We threw Olivia to the wolves to keep developing her in those pressure situations, and she was all for it. So I think everything for us starts with the reliability of our leaders, and the rest filters through from there. So yeah, I thought when we needed to step up, key people did, which was awesome to see.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the super shot strategy? I guess you haven't necessarily been a team that's gone after that really hard, across the season this year, but there were some really key moments that you wanted to win within that 5 minutes. Can you give us a bit more insight into that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us in the super shot is you've got to keep scoring your own centre passes, and it's all about your shooter supply first and foremost, but also if you're not scoring your centre passes, you're just creating more opportunities for the opposition to get hot hands, and I think that's a real focus for us, irrespective of whether we're taking a 1 and a 2, and we have our own strategies around that. Our focus is to ensure that we just get good transition from 1-point netball into 2, and just keep our centre pass conversion ticking over, and then obviously having to make those adjustments in our respective circles. And I thought at times in our super shot defence today, there were times where we absolutely nailed it and times where we got our butts absolutely kicked as well. So it's just getting the consistency of it. It's a shift in mentality, it's a shift in pattern. But I think we'll walk out of today going, there were some really good improvements under real pressure, with still a little bit more work to do, which I think is something that we can put in our pocket and go, we can be even better today.
And you stuck with that defensive lineup throughout today. Do you feel like that's a positive, a bit of a win, 11 games across the game? Do you feel like that's a one to keep in your back pocket, as yes, we do actually have that as a as another option?
Yeah, I think so, and I think, you know, we haven't used it a huge amount throughout the season. We've been looking at different things, but we've always had that combination working in training. We know it's a strength of how we can play, and we had huge respect for Vixens' ability to keep possession, and we had to do everything we could to try and find ways to win ball. And I thought, just from a match-up perspective, it was the way to go. So we know that works against certain teams, and we'll take great confidence out of that, particularly in their ability to have great impact in the second half.
And Alice, for you, had a really dominant season this year. You're sitting second in the league for, you know, almost every one of your year's stats. How much confidence are you playing with, I guess, that's you know, allowing you to be able to have those really big stats and the big numbers?
Yeah, I think if you look, for one, you've got Teague-Neeld in the circle, and she's world's best shooter, so to feed her week in, week out is amazing. But then we have the likes of Shani and Liv around me, and it's a really fresh environment this year. We have 3 centres that can go through there, and I think it just keeps it fresh. It's really enjoyable, and I think, playing my best netball when I'm enjoying it, and definitely enjoying it this year.
And looking towards next week, you've got Mavericks at home. What are you looking to get out of from that game, round 14, obviously, before you build into finals? The finals positions are still up for grabs, and you know, having a second chance to be able to fight for.
Pretty simple. We've got to win. Got to find a way to win, and I think we've got to go into it knowing that Mavericks will be playing for their life, so they'll be fighting desperately to try and get that 4th spot, so we need to be really prepared for that. I think it's going to be a really tough, physical, disjointed game potentially, with the style that they play, that they make you play. So we need to be up for all of that. But I thought today what I was most impressed with was the hunger of our team to find a way to win. Next week is equally as important heading into finals. So we're going to play it with everything we've got.